kid, I'm still very introverted, but I was extremely introverted. 100 pounds in 1 year, and so it was just due to food addiction and depression and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I went through identity crisis, like back and forth. I had to realize, like, I kind of always wanted to act. I've always wanted to try that. So then I dabbled into acting, and I went to college for acting, actually. And I felt like I got pretty good at it. But then I realized, I don't really like looking at myself that much. So
never. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How was your
some good stuff?
Yeah. How was your New York trip?
It was great. It was amazing. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a good. The restaurant was amazing. New York's amazing. Yeah, Evan and his wife are amazing. So yeah, it was fun.
And you said you posted on Instagram that it was like a challenging experience.
Yes. Yeah, it was extremely challenging. That was probably one of the hardest shoots I've ever had to do in a long time. Just because of the pressure. The client was huge. Hunt and Fish Club is like a giant restaurant in New York, right in middle of Times Square. They're very high end, and we had limited time.
Okay.
So the amount of stuff that I had to shoot, I made a mistake, it would have been really bad. So, there's a lot of pressure on me, and only a certain amount of time. So I had to do everything by myself because I didn't really have any help technically. So
you recorded all that 10-part series within a day?
Yes. So the 10 parts are actually recorded back to back to back. So it's just 10 parts all in one day. That one we didn't have all day. So we had I think 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes. You said
we had to go.
3:30. Yeah. At 4 you need to pack up.
Yeah, exactly. Because the restaurant would open for business. So we had so that was a challenge.
Awesome. Yeah. So who was Danny in the past? Is he this confident?
Oh boy, I wouldn't even say I'm that confident. Definitely gotten better. Man, I don't know how far back you want to go, but definitely not the same Danny at all. Not even close. But I think everyone's like that. When you look retrospect to whoever you were. I'm 33. I turned 33. Oh my God, my birthday passed and I didn't realize. I turned 33, and so when you've been around as long as I have, I think you change no matter what. But back then, when I was a kid, I'm still very introverted, but I was extremely introverted. I had no friends really. I didn't know how to really talk to anybody. I had very bad social skills. For me to even think about, if I were to be in front of the camera, if Instagram, existed back then, you would not see me on Instagram. There would be no videos of me or anything. I had I faced a lot of challenges, both emotionally and physically. Went through weight gains and everything really bad. At one point, I think I gained about 100 pounds in 1 year. And so it was just, due to food addiction and depression and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I went through identity crisis, like back and forth. I had every haircut known to man you can think of. I was just trying to, fit in and trying to be just like everybody else, or trying to find that group who would accept me, and whoever accepted me, I would try to be like them. And I think that's how my one word become.
Yes.
Because I was not until later in life, probably only a few years ago, that I realized that I need to become who I want to become, and not try to become everybody else. So that word means a lot to me. But like I said, I was 100 pounds overweight. My health was at an extreme low. It was really, really bad. My mental state was really, really bad. At one point, I think from grade 4 all the way to grade 8, I was crying myself to bed every night. And, a lot of it there was no reason for it. It was, maybe there was, but it wasn't anything specific. It's not like things happen to me every day. It was just, that's how unhappy I was with who I was.
Okay.
That's how unhappy I was with who I am. And I felt useless. I felt like I had nothing to offer to the world. And I mentioned it with a one-on-one with Evan. For those who haven't seen the Evan and Danny show, I mentioned it in that episode about how, what would it be like if the world, didn't have me, and if I disappeared, would anyone miss me, or would anyone be there? And it was a serious thought. It wasn't, me being over dramatic. It was an actual serious thought. So I lived in a dangerous space in my head, but I think I realized as I grew up, and especially in the last few years, I realized how powerful my head can be, how powerful my mind can be. So if I can take that power and turn it to something good, if it can go down that deep, it can fly up that high.
Yes. Like what moment triggered you to change? Because you have gone through a lot.
I wouldn't say there was a specific moment, but I'd have to say it was probably started with a relationship that I had.
Okay.
I've realized that, hey, I can be in this relationship and I can settle, get married, have a family, all that kind of stuff, and live that normal life. And I felt like I hit the end of the road. I felt like that was going to be my life. And I think it was at that moment that I said, do I want this to be the rest of my life? And what do I want to work this job? Because I was offered this job as like at that time, I think I was starting UPS, delivery guy. Okay. And do I want to be in this relationship? Am I really in love with this girl? Or is this going to be the rest of my life until I retire? And I told myself no. Like I told myself I had to be honest. Am I happy? I am not. I'm probably happier than I was before, but I'm not. This is not the life I want to live. And so I pretty much wiped everything out. I got out of the relationship. I stayed in my job for a bit, but that was because I was trying to find my passion and trying to find the bravery to do what I really want to do. But I think at that point, and I saw, I forgot what movie it was, but I saw Daniel Craig. I don't know if you know Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Yes,
I saw one scene where he came out of the water on the beach, it was like all sexy and stuff. And I looked at him like, man, I kind of want to be that sexy if I could. So I started working out and it was just like, I just decided, like, I just literally decided, I was like, this can't be the end. Like I was probably in my mid 20s to late 20s at that point. And I said, no, like this can't be it. Like this can't be the rest of my life.
So like when you decided like a videography or a direction is your passion.
When did I decide?
Yeah. Like how you came into this field?
To be honest, ever since I was a little boy, I had this really old computer. Okay. And it was so bad. And they had like this little, like, they call it Macromedia Flash. So it's like a little program where you put like pictures together and the words can come up and you can fade them in and out. So I was making like fake movie trailers, like with celebrity pictures that I found at that time was like, you find them through the worst internet in the world, I think at yahoo.com. Google didn't even exist back then. And so I kind of found a passion for making like trailers. And then, I started to realize like, I kind of always wanted to act, I've always wanted to try that. So then I dabbled into acting and I went to college for acting actually. Awesome. And I felt like I got pretty good at it. But then I realized, you know what, I don't really like looking at myself that much. So maybe I'll try to go behind the camera. And at first I had no idea what I was doing. I started on a cell phone. I mean, just like, you guys are on your cell phones doing what you can with Instagram and making the posts that you can with whatever you have. That's exactly what I did. I grabbed exactly what I had, which was just a cell phone, and I started making content. And when I started doing this, I started showing it to people, and people started saying, hey, you're pretty good at it. And to me, I was like, that felt good. And I've always been into movies. I've always been into that kind of stuff ever since I was a little boy. So when I realized, hey, I'm actually pretty good at what I enjoyed my entire life, I was like, let's just keep getting better at it. So it slowly became cell phone to like the first little DSLR camera that cost a couple $100. And then, you slowly make your way up from there. So
then you slowly upgraded yourself to big cameras.
Yes, exactly. And that took years. That took a while. But, a lot of that comes from developing your skills, through patience and through time and understanding it's a long journey. Like what you're doing right now, it's amazing. The fact that you're able to do consistently. That's what got me to where I am today. And I look back at my stuff, and just like Evan, I look back at my stuff. I'm like, man, I really sucked. that stuff
Yes.
looks really bad. Like, but that's what you do. You develop it through time.
And
Yeah.
I really love your voice. It's like a
Thank
metal
you.
voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love what you're doing. Like I said, like you see, when you start, a lot of people are always worried about, well, it's going to suck, or this camera doesn't look as good as the newest iPhone
Yes.
camera, or how do I make it look like that? And none of that matters. When I first started, when I had my cell phone, the only button I knew was the record button. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know if it was, how to make it blurry or whatever people want to put it as. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So I just knew that I want to tell a story. And so for me, my biggest advice to anybody who ever gets started in stuff, whether you're making video content professionally or you're making it as a hobby, or you're just making it for Instagram or YouTube, whatever, is to not worry about all that fancy stuff. Like, worry about the story you're trying to tell, the message that you
Yes.
get across. So that's what I love. I really like appreciate the people who, like you and people like Doug and, Doug Waller and people like that who just go out there and they create content because it's about the message, and slowly the other stuff will come the more you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I first posted my first 1 minute video on Instagram, it is like just I said 3 words: believe, be confident, and
Right.
consistent. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. You start small and you build from there. And a lot of people want to get good so fast nowadays. People want
Yes.
to, they just want to, I want to make it look like this right away and instantly. And, they want to learn
Yeah.
how to do this, but
Yes.
it's a journey.
When they see somebody with a big following, they'll feel insecure and they feel like I'm not doing good.
And anybody with a high following started at zero. Just
Yes.
like everybody else,
Yes.
Some people worked harder than other people. Some people, you can look at somebody who has, 100,000 followers or whatever it is and be like, oh, this person is so stuck up and so obsessed with themselves. But however they got there, it's because they were obsessed. Whether it's they're obsessed with themselves or they're obsessed with Instagram, whatever it is, their work ethic got them to where they were. At the end of the day, you can only worry about yourself, and
Yes.
worry about your own work ethic.
And you mentioned that you are like you felt insecure with your face and acting. And recently you posted your selfie, and you mentioned that I won't post selfies more.
I am insecure in so many more ways than anybody ever knows. I don't like looking at myself, to be honest with you. It's not something where like I look at them, I hate myself. It's just that I don't like doing it. It's just who I am, but I have my insecurities. I always had my insecurities. I think it's normal. I think everybody has insecurities.
Yes. Like how do you have you dealt with depression and low self-esteem period? Like what you did during that time?
It's the number one thing to realize is that anything that you do, any big venture, whether it's you want to become the next director or the next speaker, thought leader, even mentally, when it comes to depression, is number one thing you have to realize is that it's always a journey. It was a journey to get to that point. It takes an accumulation of a lot of different experiences for you to get to the point where you are that depressed.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't see that. They think they're just, when they're depressed or such in that deep hole, they don't realize what a journey they went through to get that low. It's the same journey going on up. There is no one magic pill that fixes depression. In fact, even for me, it still lingers from time to time. I don't think it really even goes away. I think it's something that reminds me every day that I need to, be a better me. To deal with it, it's honestly, it's deciding one thing at a time. It's deciding one choice at a time to better yourself. Starting with those smallest things. And that includes things like if you would normally wake up at 7, but you snooze until 9 o'clock, right? You're kind of telling yourself that you don't listen to yourself. So start waking up at 7. That's a small decision. If you tell yourself, oh, I have $100 to spend on food, for example, this is a terrible example, but my $100 to spend on food, but, I feel like I'm only worth $10, so I'm going to buy myself this crappy meal. Well, treat yourself, right? Spend time for yourself, make decisions for yourself. I think at that time, when you're facing depression, the number one thing to do is almost be greedy. think about yourself above everybody else. And I know how hard that is. I know it's easier said than done. And I was the type of person who was a person pleaser. I would always want to do things to make other people happy. So I was trying to become people. Like I said, I was trying to become somebody. So I tried to impress them. I was trying to look for that group of people who would accept me, whether it's the people who all listen to rock music and they all have their hair spiked with, makeup on and stuff. So I would try to dress like them, or a person who listens to hip hop and has baggy clothing, I would try to act like them. And so when that's almost like you're kind of ignoring who you are. You're ignoring yourself. And I think when you ignore yourself, that's what leads you into that hole. You're not really being yourself. You're not paying attention to yourself just as much as you need to pay attention to your family or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever, or your dog even, or your cat. You have to pay attention to yourself. And I think when you realize that you're in that hole, that's the time to do it. And a lot of the things that I would tell myself that I caught myself saying, and I'm still hear from a lot of friends who suffer from depression, either now or before, they always say, well, I feel bad for this person, they might be sad. And then they almost kind of take that and they allow that to be a burden on their own shoulders. And as strange as it may sound, to be honest, it just gets to the point where if you are that low and you are facing rock bottom, you have to be greedy. You have to think about yourself. You have to let other people deal with their own problems so that you can deal with yours. Because at the end of the day, when I realized that I needed to get better, I realized if I am depressed all the time, then that's the type of people I'm going to attract. I'm going to attract the wrong crowd. And then the people who love me, who have no choice but to be around me, like my parents who live with me and things like that, they're going to see the worst of me. They're going to feel the worst of me. They're going to get the worst of me.
Yeah.
In order for me to fix my environment, I need to fix myself. I need to be the best version of me. Because if I'm not the best version of me, then no one will ever get to know the best version of me. Therefore, they'll never love me for who I am. Like, how can they ever love me if I don't even love me? If I don't know who the best of me is, how can anyone ever look highly upon me if all they're ever seeing is a downer, or all they're ever seeing is someone who's, always pessimistic and always putting things down, always complaining, always, things like that. And of course, no one's going to really like you that much. Of course, no one's going to really want to be around you.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew that. I knew in my head, I was like, in order for, not only just general public to accept me, but for people around me to love me more and to just enjoy my presence, at least, is I need to fix myself. I need to find that within me. So be greedy. Be as greedy as possible.
That's what I'm like. From the past 2 weeks, I'm not doing any interviews. I don't know. I felt low by myself. But today I decided I want to ask a guest for an interview, and I messaged 10 people, and you were the first person that you.
And here I am.
Yes. And I also got replies from 3 or 4 other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super happy. Yes.
Exactly. And it's making those decisions that's a decision you made, right? And you decided to ask. You decided, even though you might get 10 no's, that you were going to ask anyway. But it's being that type of fearlessness, right, translates into all the other decisions you make from here on out. Whether you don't see it yet or not, but it's like those are habits that you're building to be fearless.
First I wrote almost 60 names that I want to interview, and I picked 10 of them, and I messaged them first.
That's amazing. That's it, and I love it. I'm glad that I have time to be here. You caught me in probably the busiest time of my life, but I just happened to have a few days open. So I love spending time. I really appreciate you asking me, and I'm really happy to be here.
And when you started DB Vault, your company DB Vault.
Oh, when did I start DB Vault? Well, I guess I never made it public yet, but DB Vault doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm officially solo. But DB Vault started about 2 years ago. It was about almost 3, but it officially took off about 2 years ago. And it started between me and Brahim, because me and Brahim were just training partners back then. We trained kickboxing. And from there, we pretty much talked about our passions and what we like to do. And that's when I pulled out my cell phone and we were thinking, oh, we had a fight coming up. So I was helping him train for a fight. And if we had a cell phone, we're both big fans of like UFC and things like that. So we would be like, oh, how would you like to make a behind the scenes that the UFC does on YouTube and see what that's like? I was like, sure, I got this new camera. It's on my phone. It's like, it shoots 4K. Oh my God. And that's when 4K was like new. It just came out. So then I was like recording on my phone. I brought it home. I brought it home to edit. And everyone liked it. They really enjoyed it. So we decided, okay, let's take it a step up. And Instagram had a challenge. One of the people I follow had a challenge. And it was like, make a 15-second video, because that's as long as you can do on Instagram back then. And who can do the coolest like sequence of kicks in 15 seconds? So Brahim is a great kicker. So I was like, I'll record and you kick, right? And we put it together and we actually won out of like thousands of applicants. And that's what we knew. We're like, maybe we're pretty good at this, and maybe we can work together and do this together. And up until recently, like everything was going great. But yeah, we split recently. And that's a whole other thing. But that's just, it was nothing personal. Like we're friends.
Yes, that happens in a business.
It happens in business all the time.
Yes, all the time. And like, how you ended up meeting Evan? Like,
actually, Evan found us. Evan found me and Brahim on Instagram.
Awesome.
So we're not that active on Instagram. I'm not that active on Instagram. I don't really follow, how many followers I have and stuff like that. I don't really even go on to really scroll on the feed too often either. But I post when I can, and then usually I only post and then I close Instagram. I don't really look at it just so people know what's going on in my life. But Evan actually left me a hashtag. And left me a hashtag, and I posted something with a hashtag.
Okay.
And it was the Toronto Videographer, and then I think he was looking for a videographer at that time, and then he messaged us. And then from there, on the phone, we decided that we're like, hey, what about a free trial? Like, why don't I shoot with you for a day and just see how it goes, right? Because I knew at that time I really wanted to work with Evan. Like, I looked at his work and I did my research on him before I met him. And I was like, man, this guy's really good. He seems like a really good guy. And then when I met him, I was like, well, is he going to be like that in real life? And sure as you know, Evan is exactly like he is in his videos. Like Evan is Evan. Like you meet him in real life, he's no different from what you see in the videos. And so I remember working that full day with him, putting everything I got. I think I put in like almost 40 hours in that one video of editing, just like really going through all the little details and just hoping and praying. Sent him an email, sent it to him like, please want to work with us too. Please. And it was a risk. It was a risk we took because at that time, me and Brahim had decided we're not doing free work anymore.
Okay.
Like we worked so hard to get to where we were. We felt like we're at a certain skill level that, it brought value to companies. And we were like, well, we can't work for free anymore, especially if we want to, move forward in our business and move forward in our careers. And so when Evan came up, I was like, let's make that exception. Let's, I really want to work with him. So, and then next thing you know, like he messaged back and said he'd love to work with us. He signed us for a year. And up until recently, me and Brahim split, then he signed me for a year.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
You are doing a great work with Evan.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you also visited went to Grant Cardone house.
Yes, I followed Grant Cardone for a week. No, a day. Sorry.
Well, day. Yes.
Yeah, a day. Yeah, they sent us. Evan sent me and Brahim to Miami for a week, and I got to stay with Doug Watler and his wife. Yes. Yeah, that was really cool. Doug's the man, and it's beautiful down there.
How was your experience with Grant Cardone?
Oh, Grant is a character. Grant is a character. The thing is, like, with all these successful people, even Evan, like, they've got this character in them. They've always got this little bit of, like, uniqueness about them. And Grant is the epiphany of being unique. The guy's so energetic. The guy is just, he's a walking one-liner. Like, he'll walk around saying these one-lines in like the most enthusiastic way, and you're just like, oh, that was a good one-liner, He's got so much energy. The guy lives this crazy lavish lifestyle, but you can tell he has heart,
Yes.
The guy has so much knowledge to spread out. You know, his content's amazing. Obviously, you know, he's growing like crazy. Grant's a good guy. He's funny. He's someone like you hang out with him, you can't help but to like, you know, draw in that same energy. So contagious. And his office space that he works in, like, it's just, oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's nuts. It's something I've never seen in real life. Just the amount of energy his team has and he has and stuff. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
And like as you said, you are an introvert, but you're working with Evan and his team, and you also recently did 2 workshops with him.
Yeah.
So how was that experience meeting with people, new people?
You can ask Doug yourself. Doug was in the first workshop.
Yes.
In the first like day, I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just worried about doing my job, but that was the introvert in me, right? Like I find comfort in my work. So when I get uncomfortable, I just focus on work. You know, it's better to focus on that than something negative, as I learned in the past. So like, you know, Doug would tell you, like, I didn't talk to anybody. I was kind of like, I don't even know how to say, like, kind of shy. And I don't know if I come off as like I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but I came off as an asshole, you know. I don't know. I get that a lot, you know, like people first see me and they're like, you're not very approachable, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. You know, it's just that I'm very, very shy. And same thing with the second group, you know, first day, I was very, very shy. But once you get to know me, I promise I don't bite. And I like to believe I'm a nice guy.
I feel the same because like I'm a bit, I don't know that feeling, but I'm scared of asking you for interview or something like that.
Yeah, I get it. Like,
yes, today I did it. Yes.
But you did it, and here I am.
Yes.
And yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way. And recently, you're actually going to be the first person I tell this story to. Okay, so this is an exclusive for School of Rockstars as a first story. I disappointed myself in New York the other day. Evan doesn't even know this. I disappointed myself. You're talking about getting over fear and asking me to come on. So I went to, we shot at the restaurant.
Okay.
And at the bar, you know, there's this really cute girl that I thought was really cute. And we started talking and I don't know, there's a nice little connection there.
Okay.
And I told myself, before I leave, I'm going to ask for Instagram.
Awesome.
And the very last second, right as I'm leaving, she's the last person I'm talking to in that restaurant. What do? I don't ask her for her Instagram. I chicken out completely. And I left thinking, man, what, all the things you preach, you little hypocrite, you just went against all the things you just preached, you know, like about being fearless.
What Evan did at that time.
Yeah.
What Evan told you?
Oh no, Evan doesn't know. That's what I'm saying. You're the first one. You're the first one on the show to know my little embarrassing story about how I chickened out in a moment of fear when I knew I was being a hypocrite, and I went back. I was like, man, don't do that again. You know, you preach so much about fearlessness, and here you are, you know, chickening out in a moment of fear. Oh, so stupid and so small, you know. But yeah.
And do you have a morning routine?
Morning routine? To be honest, I don't. I mean, the funny thing is I agree with morning routines. I agree that you should have a routine. You know, when people, like the way Evan works on how he has like certain days set for certain things, you should do that. I 100% agree you should do that. But for me, I don't know why. I don't. I work under chaos.
Yes,
and it's like every day.
Yeah, you work on odd hours.
Yeah, every day there's always something for me to do. You know, there's always something for me. Either if I'm not doing anything, I'm learning, right? And just the way that, I guess it's just because of the type of storyteller that I am. Now, I'm not saying people should be like this, and I don't recommend this, you know, but the way that I am is I really go off of feeling. Like if I feel like this video is something I'm really like, I'm feeling the message or I'm feeling the words that are said in the video, then I will edit it. And I really like almost like taking I put a lot of mental energy and a lot of heart into the work that I put out. Unless I absolutely have to finish it by a certain deadline, which is, you know, sometimes that's the case, right? But, you know, that's how I usually decide what I want to do on that day, as long as I'm doing something. but there are all times where like you get thrown projects all the time and you're like, this has to be done by this time. And so it's kind of hard to have a morning routine. Like I can't wake up at 7 and tell myself that I'm only going to work till 10, because it's not realistic. If a project's going to take me a week to finish, I have to spend all day on it, you know? So for me, routines don't work, but that's just my lifestyle. But I agree that, in routines, because when I was overweight and I had lost, I think I lost 50 pounds. I lost 50 pounds in a few months. I can't remember how long, but I lost a lot when I was at my biggest. And that was because of routine. That was because every single night I slept at a certain time. I woke up at that time. I ate certain something. I ate things at a certain time. And it was a discipline. It taught me discipline.
Yes.
And that discipline ultimately led me to that goal. So yes, have a routine. What I do is stupid. Don't follow my routine. My routine is pure chaos. Don't do what I do unless you have my lifestyle. So
and like in one of the event story I saw, you are doing some talent hunt for your short film or something like
yeah, actually that didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ended up failing. But that's part of my life.
Process.
That's part of my industry. Yeah, it's part of the process. Like I didn't beat myself over it. Like I was looking to hire for a short film, and I was looking for cast members. So I was looking for actors, and I put an ad out there. Evan helped me come up with the ad, and so we held an audition at his TDS at his dance studio, and it just didn't work out. Like no one really fit the bill, and I know I'm very, very like picky with you know my artistic choices. So I was pretty harsh on my choices, but it was a lesson learned. You know, it was a good experience. It's a lesson learned. It's just part of it. Like when that short film finally gets made, it's going to be part of the story that I tell of like when we first tried to put this together, it sucked. It didn't work out. You know, it's part of the failure. So yeah.
And like how many hours do you sleep? Because sleep is very important.
Sleep, again, this goes with routine. Sleep is very important. Everybody, make sure you sleep at least 8 hours a day. Don't do what I do. All right. I will say that my sleep is so on and off. It is bad.
Okay.
It is really bad because like I said, sometimes I'm crunched on time and I have to do certain things by a certain time, and I sleep like 3 hours, sometimes 2. Okay. I've went 2 days without sleep before. But if you can get 8 hours, try your best to get 8 hours. I'd say typically when I don't, during like a dead time when maybe I can control my schedule a little bit more, I try to sleep 6 hours. Okay. I try, but 8 hours is ideal. So don't do what I do. Don't be stupid.
Notice, flash. And like, what is your ultimate goal?
I want to be a film director. On
Netflix, because
yes, Netflix is right now. That's the place to be. You know, I mean, I don't know what Netflix is going to be in 10 years or whatever, however long it takes me to reach my goal. But right now, Netflix is the place to be. So yeah, Netflix. But ultimately, for me, I want to be a film director. I feel like for me, my whole life, like my life is a story. You know. And it's been through so many range of emotions. And I think when I was young, just trying to become a little bit of everybody taught me a little bit about everybody. It taught me a little bit about different lifestyles, different ways of thinking, and trying to be those things, right? I think that's why I wanted to be an actor at first, because I felt like I had a little grasp on everybody's type of, type of life and different types of people. And I just feel like I have so many stories to tell. Like it's maybe not like it's not built into a story yet, but I have all these, built up library of emotions that I went through in my life and just experiences that I want to display, on camera. And it's really hard to explain. It's just the feeling of like saying, like, I need to get that out of me. I need to express that art. And just so happens that, I'm pretty decent at this film thing. So I'm hoping that, that's what I can do for the rest of my life, that's my goal.
Yeah. What are you making? What are the steps you're taking to make it happen? I know you're working with Evan and others. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When it comes to this type of industry, for anybody, especially who's getting into videography, film, whatever, it's all the same. I mean, people are going to say things are different, like film is different from videography.
Video.
It is in this little parts of it, but ultimately it's all the same. When it comes to this type of art, the most important thing to do is stay consistent in it. It's just like growing on Instagram, growing on YouTube, whatever it is.
Video.
The most important thing is stay consistent. And it's just like working out. When you work out, it is so much harder to start working out again when you stop. And when you stop for too long and you try to get back into it. It's the same thing with this. The steps you have to take are to stay consistent in everything that you do and always try to learn. So for me, it's not necessarily specifically what projects I'm working on, but more so the fact that I'm always trying to keep myself sharp. So when I shoot with Evan, like there are little tiny details that I might switch around. I don't tell anybody, that either I do in post or I do on set, or I would try to get to learn a little new technique that, maybe no one sees that I do. It's on the computer, it's in my editing program. I'm always trying to learn little things at a time, always trying to learn. So the big steps are obvious. The big steps are you got to make, if you want to be a film director, you got to make narratives, you got to make films. So Evan told me he's going to sign me for 2019, but I have to make a short film. And he told me you have to make a short film. So I got to make a short film. So that's my, next big step. But when it comes to the little things, like I said, when I'm not filming or I'm not editing, I'm learning. I have something on. Like if you ever hang out with Evan, you'll see when he's not talking, and he likes to talk. He loves to talk. When he's not talking or nobody's talking, he's watching like Gary Vee or Tony Robbins, or he's watching content because it's the content that he puts out there.
Yeah.
Right. He's constantly immersing himself in that environment. And that's exactly what I do. I'm always watching content on how to do this and how to do that, or even re-teaching myself the things I already know just by having it in the background. So I think that's very, very important to be consistent.
And I know, like, I follow YouTube channels. I follow one of the Telugu YouTube channel that is in my language. So it's called, one channel is My Village Show. They are from like a little village in one of the state in India, but now they are like huge because of that consistency. And daily, every day, they'll be in top trending videos. That's
amazing. That's amazing. See, and that's all it takes. Like I think anybody can do it. It's just the thing with it is, if you were to ask me 5 years ago if I'd be where I am today, if you asked me last year if I'd be where I am today, I would say you're crazy. And that's what I learned the most. Was I went to LA. That's why I wear my LA hat all the time. I went to LA one time, and I said to myself 3 months ago, before that LA trip, if I were to say that I'm going to LA to film something, would you believe it? And I said no. There's no way I would. But I was, and I was there. And since then, it just changed my perspective. It made me think, if I can tell myself that I want to do this, and it seems impossible, it's probably going to happen as long as I keep going, keep doing what I'm doing, and so that's what I do all the time. Like now where I am today, there's no way I would have thought that I was going to be where I am today last year, and that's amazing. And I want to keep surprising myself in the future. I want to be able to go back and be like, ask yourself 3 months ago, do you think you'd be here today? If it's a yes, you didn't do enough. If it's a no, good, keep going.
Yes, that's what I did. That's what I did today. I told myself, like, I'm going to do it. And I asked you, that's it.
Exactly. And you're here. And the thing is, like, if you would ask yourself last year, would you be here doing a live chat with me right now? You'd probably think, oh no, probably not. You didn't know me last year, but still, you'd be, you would say no. But that's what you got to keep doing. You got to keep surprising yourself every single time. If you surprise yourself, you're doing something right. Yes. That means you're making the right steps forward.
And also, recently I surprised my family with all these interviews.
Oh yeah, your family doesn't know.
Yeah, they doesn't know.
Oh wow.
They got to know very recently, and they said, we are with you.
That is amazing. See, you having the support of your family is huge. Like that's big. That's something that I can't say that I was blessed with necessarily, but and my family still kind of wonders like,
yeah.
is this the right choice? You know, they're always going to think that, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
But back then it was really bad. You know, they were thinking like you're making the dumbest mistake of your life, and you just need to move on, and like you need to find a real job that makes money and all that kind of stuff. You know, but you know, look where I am. I stuck with it. I mean, it was not easy. When I first started, I had people all the time like ask me like, why are you making this video? Like, what's the point of this? You know, because you're not getting paid. Two, it's like, what's the point? Three, it's like, why is there so much emotion in this video and all that kind of stuff? Like, you know, I was teased for it a lot, and it was hard because these were people that I saw every day, you know, and they were like, oh, you know, you're just using a cell phone, you know, like you're not going to be taken seriously and all that kind of stuff. And then my family was obviously they're very traditional, right? So they're very traditional in sense of Chinese traditional, very, very strict, be a doctor, be a lawyer, do all that kind of stuff. But I was never good in school, so my grades were terrible. So I could never do that anyway. But, you know, they were completely against everything that I did. But I stuck with it, and that was hard. Like that's not something I can just tell someone, just stick with it and it's okay. Like I understand what that's like to not have any support around you. And now, like, all of a sudden it's like everyone around me is so super supportive because I developed that level of confidence in myself, like in what I do, the belief in what I do. Maybe I'm not the most confident in being able to stare at myself in the mirror every day, but I am the most confident in terms of like, I really believe
what you do,
and what I'm doing. And I really believe that I will become who I want to become. And I think that energy attracted a lot of support. Now, I gotta say, I have a lot more support than I have haters. I don't even think I have that many haters. And if I do, it's because I don't see them. Like, I don't know they're there. Because maybe they're talking behind my back. I don't know, but I don't pay attention to them, you know? And that's part of like developing that self, you know, confidence, develop the best you so that the people around you can experience the best you, you know, and you can experience the best you. So,
yes, like my family and my environment is kind of the same as you. Like they feel social media is like dangerous or not good for children. They feel the same. But first, my elder brother saw my interview that I did, and he said, "No, you can go ahead."
Oh, nice. So, is it really strict over there with social media, like where you live?
Not strict, but they feel that it's not good for girls, or it's like a restriction. Yeah.
Okay. I can understand it, but from what you're doing, like what you're doing seems great. So I don't think there's any danger for you.
Yes, and also like I'm also planning an interview with my mom and dad.
Oh, nice, good.
Yes.
They accepted that already?
Yes, they saw my interviews.
Yeah, nice. Good for you. That's an amazing idea. That's great. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to India in February on February 1st. Then I'm planning to do that.
Oh, okay, nice. Where are you from right now? Where do you live?
I live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, you live in Austin, Texas. Nice. I'm actually going to Houston in like a month or so.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's close. I'm not sure. I'm not great with.
Yeah, it's close, like 3 or 4 hours away from.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Well, like you being consistent. Like I keep saying that, but like I've lived it. You know, like going from an absolute nobody who felt like he couldn't amount to anything to somebody who truly believes that, you know, my abilities can bring value to people's lives. It can impact people's lives and the things that I'm able to do, you know, and that's all through consistency, both physically and mentally. It's not just, you know, oh, think it. You got to do, you know, you have to go out there and you have to do. So it's a combination of both. And I think eventually you'll get there. Yeah.
I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it for myself.
That's very important. That is very, very important. That's another thing. Good point, because a lot of people do it for other people.
Yes. I'm my own competitor every day.
Exactly. And that's huge, because like I said, me being that person who wanted to always become somebody else, you know, when I first got into acting, I knew that's why it wasn't my love, is because I wanted people to see me. I felt invisible, you know. I wanted people to see me, hey, everyone pay attention to me, and it was about everybody else. And I obsessed over it. And I wanted to like almost express all the pain that I ever went through and be like, look what you guys did to me, you know, like in a very
Yes.
depressive manner.
Hmm.
And I knew it was so negative, you know, the reasons behind my intentions want to be an actor were so negative. Now it's different. Now I would love to do it just to have fun, but it's not my major goal. But that's where I was like, you know, when I realized, I was like, I need to find something that I'm doing for me. Like, this is not for anybody else. This is not to be famous or to be rich. If it comes with it, great. If it does, then amazing. I'm not going to turn it down, but you know, my intention is because I truly believe this is who I need to become. You know, it's for me.
If you do our work, like a famous, where money and all will come our back.
Yeah, exactly. It just happened to be possible side effects to
Yes.
to the job, you know. But you can be famous in any job, really. You can be a doctor and be the most famous doctor in the world. You can be McDonald's, be the most famous McDonald's in the world. You know, like anything, you can get big at.
And like, what is the impact you're gonna create? You want to create?
I want, and it's a good question because that's a hard question, but because it's so many things that I want to do, but ultimately I want to tell the story of the human being. Like, I truly believe that there is good souls in everybody, regardless of whether or not, you know, you're from whatever part of the world, or you have a criminal record, or whatever it is. You know, like, maybe I'm not the type to go out there. I'm not the type, in fact, to go out there and try to fix people through therapy or talk to people and be like, can I help you? In fact, I'm the complete opposite. I'm really, really shy, and I'd rather not, you know, be involved in that sense. But my way of kind of, I guess you can say, fixing humanity, if you will, or improving humanity, is through storytelling. And I, like I said, being able to experience so many different types of people, experiencing different cultures, being in Toronto, you know, being such a multicultural city and having different cultural friends and seeing their families and stuff like that, and seeing how different people think, being open-minded to the human psychology. I really want my stories to express the different pains, the different emotions, the different happinesses, the different loves, the different, you know, hates from every different type of person. So my stories are really based on, that I want to tell at least, are really based on the human soul, you know, and showing different sides of humans and how just infinite amount of angles in humans. So you'll never really like see me say that my power piece is going to be the next Transformers, you know, like I'm not the type of guy who goes out there and, you know, I don't know how to do green screen and all that kind of fancy stuff like CGI, because that's not my goal. My story is not to tell things through computer graphics or be the next best graphics artist. For me, it's about the character. It's about the soul. So working with people like Evan, and when I work with Glory, I try to tell the story of the fighter, you know, where they came from, who they're doing it for, what it means to them, things like that. That's the type of work that I want to create. So that's my ultimate impact. I want people to be able to watch my stuff in the future and be like, man, like that really touched me. Like, you know, for me, my favorite film of all time, or films of all time, are the Lord of the Rings films. And it's not because I can relate to elves and dwarves and dragons, you know, or wizards. It's because of the story of friendship. It's that undying bond of friendship, you know, that told the you know, the smallest person in that universe achieved the biggest thing in that universe possible, which was destroy the ring and save all of Middle Earth. You know, the smallest person with no powers, you know, where everyone else is trained and skilled, and it told, and they did it together through friendship, you know, just that bond of fellowship. And that to me is what that movie meant to me. Right. And I attracted myself to that, not the CGI and all that. Yeah, the stuff is great. I love it. But like, you know, it wasn't, you know, what inspired me. So in my films, yeah, I'm not going to say I'll never have CGI in the future or never hire a team to do that type of stuff. But, you know, ultimately, I want to make sure that if I do have that stuff, the core of every story I tell is about the human soul. And it's about the human in that character.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And like where people can find you, how they can contact?
Instagram, Danny WSL. That is something I barely use, but you know, I am there. Sometimes pay attention to messages and things like that. But other than that, you can find me on Facebook too. My name is just Danny Lau on Facebook, LAU.
Yes, I connected to you on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm not on it a whole bunch, but I am there.
Yes.
So if you need me, yeah, I'm there.
Awesome. Thank you. And can you please show us your workspace?
Oh boy, it is very, very messy right now.
No problem.
Because I just unpacked from New York. And
just like a small,
That's my editing. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of dark.
Yes, I can see it.
And then you got like all my gear. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Down here. And then you got boxes and my station of whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's like huge.
Oh, it's not that big actually. To be honest, I could probably just lean over and touch the wall right now. But it's, I just unpacked everything. I just like redid all my studio and everything, and I just reordered a bunch of gear. So like I have boxes everywhere and things are everywhere. And don't live like me either. Be me. Don't do what I did. I'm stupid.
That's the ultimate message.
That's the ultimate message. Don't be like Danny. Just
become yourself.
Become yourself. Exactly. Become who you're going to become. Don't become Danny.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Danny. It's so wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
There's a difference. I want to do it and I want to be a rock star, right? Like, and that's where you influence people. Like, I want to do it, but I also want to be the most popular. And so then that person's like, oh, I want to be him. So I guess I'll be nice. Like I want to literally take people who have DNA that's kind of nice and make them more nice.